everyone. Today I would like to talk about emergence of skill and generalization of the skill, specifically with respect to response to name call. Response to name call means whenever we call the name of the child, we expect the child to react to it in certain way so that we understand that we are referring to him. Basically, child's brain has to understand that that's his name and he is supposed to react to that name whenever called by any of the adult or the peer group. This is Dr. Jyotsna Tanigundala from Daffodils CDC Hyderabad. So when it comes to response to name call, there is something called emergence of the skill and there is something called generalization of the skill. So today I would be talking about the phases which we see in the response to name call in terms of emergence and in terms of generalization. So basically when we start working on response to name call, we expect the child just to relate that it is his name. In case if the child is playing with the toy and he is so busily engrossed, whenever I try calling his name, I just expect him to drop it for a second and to stop the activity for a second. He might go back and then do the same play, but at least for a second, whenever someone calls me Jyotsna, I expect the child just to stop and then go back to the play. That is the first stage of your workup on the response to name call. And definitely whenever you are working, you just can't stand behind somewhere in the corner of the room and start screaming Jyotsna, Jyotsna and expect me to understand and react back. It won't happen in children in that way. So definitely I want the parent to come closer and then to tap the child and then say, hey Jyotsna, turn your face to them, turn back, tap the child and then call their name. So that means you're giving a cue and trying to help them understand that Jyotsna is your name and you are supposed to stop or react to me. So now let's look at stages of response to name call. That's the emergent stages. So firstly, what we expect from the child is stop the activity at hand for a second, stare and then go back to the activity. Second stage of emergence would be stop the activity at hand and try turning your head and try to locate. Third stage would be stop the activity, turn in the direction of sound source. Wherever the person is calling the name, I should turn. If my mom is calling from right side, I should turn to right. If it's from left, I should turn to left. If my mom is standing in front of me and calling my name, I should just look up. Okay, that is the third phase. And fourth phase of emergence would be wherever my mom is there in the room, I should start turning, looking at her in response to what she called me. Just like saying, what happened, Amma? I might not be able to literally ask using words what happened, Mama, but I can give a good eye contact to her and stare at her, conveying that, why did you call me? And fifth stage would be, I expect the child to get up from here and go to the mama or go to the papa, whoever calls the name, and then stands over there. It could be mama, papa, therapist, any person who is close to the child and any person who could teach the child a skill is good enough for us. Because skill is a response to name call. Skill is not the person. Skill is response to name call. So these are the 5 stages of emergence. And once the emergence happens, then we have something called generalization. In the initial phases, child might be responding only to one specific person's voice. It could be his voice, it could be the modulation, it could be the bonding between the child and that particular person. It need not be parents all the time. Most of the time we see child responds in a much better manner to their therapist rather than to the parents in the initial stages. And that's where the generalization takes a big picture. So once a child learns well with the therapist with at least with 70% accuracy, we should start generalizing the skill to the other therapists in the clinical setup. And once it happens with other therapists, we should start generalizing it to the parents. Among the parents also, it depends on the bonding what they had. Few kids will start responding more to mom's voice and few kids will start responding more to papa's voice. So whoever it is, one person should get generalized to the first one parent and then slowly it generalizes to the other parent and the other people in his vicinity. So these are the stages of emergence and the generalization. In generalization, we have one more thing also, that's the environment. Initially, child might be responding only within the clinical setup because it is a very controlled environment. and slowly you should start generalizing it into the hall, into the real environments, that's the home, school, supermarkets and stuff like that. So always, please never judge your child on any particular skill, especially the response to name call in the initial stages itself. For example, my child is in the stage 1 of emergent level. That means where I should start expecting when I call the name, if the kid is playing with this, he should just stop it for a second. So if he does it, I would give 1 mark to the kid. But during the initial first stage of the emergence, I should not expect the child that I called name at the home, madam, child is not turning back. Child is not coming to me how much many times I call the name. So this is one of the common mistake which a parent makes because of the lack of adequate knowledge in seeing how the skill is emerging and lack of adequate knowledge in seeing how the skill is getting generalized. So this is just, today I spoke only about response to name call. In this one particular skill, you have 5 stages in emergence and 5 stages in the generalization. So any skill, every skill needs, emergence will carry only 30% of value and generalization is where it carries 80% of the value. So parents, please do try to generalize the skills what your therapist has taught in the therapy session. I'm not again repeating that I'm not talking about the activity that you need to repeat, but I'm talking about the goal that you need to repeat it to home, focus more on it and help the therapist to generalize the task. That would in turn help the child to understand it in a much better manner and to react to it in a much better manner. If you have any doubts on how to initiate the response to name call, or if you have anything in this emergence and generalization stages, please do ping us, or we'll be happy if you could call us at 8332971624. Thank you so much.